When the stage lights go out, Jungkook's midnight confession to Jimin ignites a forbidden love threatened by fame, fear, and betrayal. "If the lights go out tonight, don't let go of my hand." The words were barely audible over the roar of 70,000 voices, but Jimin heard them as clearly as if the world had already fallen silent. The stage beneath their feet trembled from the bass, fireworks burned like fractured stars above them, and Jungkook stood so close their shoulders brushed in a choreography that looked rehearsed but felt dangerously real. Then the lights went out. It wasn't part of the show. A sharp crack split through the speakers, the LED screens flickered and died. The stadium drowned in a sudden, suffocating darkness broken only by the frantic glow of emergency lights blinking red like a warning pulse. The crowd screamed, not in delight, but confusion. Jimin's first instinct was professional: smile, breathe, stay calm. His second was instinctive and far more honest. He reached for Jungkook. Their fingers locked in the dark. Somewhere behind them, staff were shouting into headsets. Security ran across the stage. The music cut completely, leaving only the raw sound of thousands of people murmuring in uncertainty. "Stay with me," Jungkook whispered, his breath warm against Jimin's ear. It was absurd how intimate the darkness felt. No cameras, no spotlight, no expectations. Just two hands gripping too tightly. Jimin forced a small laugh, though his heart was hammering hard enough to bruise his ribs. "This isn't funny, Jungkook. I'm not joking." And in that pitch-black space, something shifted. The emergency lights finally stabilized into a dim glow, casting long shadows across the stage. The show was cancelled, an electrical malfunction they would later announce, a technical failure. But for Jimin, something else had short-circuited entirely. Backstage, chaos erupted like a storm trapped in a corridor. Managers argued with technicians. Stylists rushed to gather costumes. Someone was crying, someone else was swearing. Jimin peeled off his in-ear monitor with trembling fingers. His ears still rang from the abrupt silence. He told himself it was just adrenaline. Jungkook stood at the far end of the hallway, jaw tight, eyes searching. For him. When their gazes met, it felt like being caught doing something they hadn't technically done. Not yet. They were professionals, they were teammates, they were brothers in everything but blood. That was the narrative, that was the truth the world was allowed to see. But there were other truths. Truth like how Jungkook's hand lingered too long during rehearsals. Truth like how Jimin memorized the cadence of Jungkook's breathing when they shared hotel rooms on tour. Truth like how Jimin avoided mirrors lately, because every time he looked at his reflection, he saw guilt blooming beneath his skin. "Come with me," Jungkook said quietly. It wasn't a request. Jimin hesitated only a fraction of a second before following him. They slipped out through a side exit, past the loading docks, and into the cool midnight air. The city glittered beyond the stadium like a silent witness. The noise inside felt a million miles away. Jungkook didn't speak until they reached the rooftop access staircase. Metal steps clanged under their shoes as they climbed. Each step felt like a choice, each breath a confession waiting to happen. At the top, the wind hit them first, cold, alive, unforgiving. Jimin hugged himself, still in his stage outfit, glitter clinging to his skin. He looked fragile under the moonlight, though he hated feeling that way. He had built himself into something stronger than fragile. Jungkook stood opposite him, hair still damp with sweat, chest rising and falling heavily. He looked reckless, determined, terrified. "I can't keep pretending," Jungkook said. The city below buzzed faintly, unaware of the war unfolding above it. Jimin swallowed. "Pretending what?" Jungkook laughed softly, but it broke halfway through. "You know exactly what." Silence stretched between them, thick as a curtain about to drop. Jimin had always been the brave one on stage, the one who flirted with the camera, the one who moved like he owned every spotlight. Off stage, he feared losing everything. We could ruin everything, Jimin whispered. Or we could finally stop lying. The words hit harder than the bass from earlier. Jimin turned away, gripping the cold railing. He remembered being 17, moving to a city that swallowed boys whole. He remembered clawing his way into perfection, perfect voice, perfect body, perfect image. Perfection didn't allow room for love like this. Behind him, Jungkook stepped closer, not touching, just close enough that Jimin could feel the heat of him. I don't care if the lights go out, Jungkook said. I don't care if the stage collapses. I don't care what people say. That's easy for you to say. It's not, Jungkook shot back, sudden fire in his voice. You think I'm not scared? You think I don't wake up at night wondering if one wrong move will destroy everything we built? Jimin turned, startled by the crack in Jungkook's composure. I'm terrified, Jungkook continued, quieter now, but I'm more terrified of losing you. The wind howled around them, like it wanted to erase the conversation entirely. Jimin's chest tightened. You won't lose me. I already am, Jungkook said. Every time you pull away, every time you pretend it's just fan service, every time you smile at me like it doesn't mean anything. It was unfair. It was true. Jimin stepped closer despite himself. You think this is easy for me? I've spent my whole life trying to be enough. What happens if they decide I'm not anymore? Then we face it. We, Jimin echoed. Jungkook nodded once firm, we. That single word carried more weight than any award they had ever held. Jimin's defenses began to fracture. He hated that Jungkook could see through him so effortlessly, hated that he wanted to be seen. Say it, Jungkook murmured. Jimin's pulse pounded in his throat. Say what? That you feel it too. The city lights blurred, maybe from the wind, maybe from unshed tears. Jimin exhaled slowly, as if releasing years of restraint. When the lights went out tonight, he said, voice shaking, I wasn't afraid of the crowd. I wasn't afraid of the chaos. I was afraid of losing your hand. Jungkook closed the distance. This time, he didn't hesitate. His fingers cupped Jimin's face, gentle but resolute. The touch was electric, not because it was their first, but because it was the first without excuse. No more pretending, Jungkook whispered. Jimin searched his eyes for doubt and found none. He found love instead, raw, unfiltered, reckless. And for the first time, Jimin chose something not because it was safe, but because it was true. He leaned in. The kiss was soft at first, trembling with the weight of everything unsaid. It tasted like adrenaline and salt and midnight air. It tasted like freedom and fear tangled together. When they finally pulled apart, the world hadn't ended. The city still glittered. The stadium lights flickered back to life below them, one by one. Jimin rested his forehead against Jungkook. Tomorrow will be harder, he said. I know. They'll notice. I know. Jimin inhaled deeply. The scent of smoke from distant fireworks lingered faintly in the air. But tonight, Jungkook added, voice steady now, when the stage went dark, I chose you. Jimin smiled through tears. He no longer tried to hide. And I'm still here. In the distance, sirens wailed and faded. The world kept moving, indifferent to the revolution that had just taken place on a rooftop. For the first time in years, Jimin felt something unfamiliar bloom in his chest. Not fear. Not obligation. Joy. When they finally descended the stairs and stepped back into the fluorescent glare of backstage lights, nothing looked different. But everything had changed. And this time, when Jungkook reached for his hand in the corridor, crowded with staff and noise and expectation, Jimin didn't pull away. He squeezed back, episode 2. The first rumor exploded before sunrise. Jimin woke to the violent vibration of his phone rattling against the hotel nightstand, the pale gray light of dawn leaking through the curtains like something guilty. For a brief, fragile second, he didn't remember the rooftop, the confession, the kiss that had redrawn the borders of his world. Then he felt the warmth beside him. Jungkook lay on the other bed across the room, not close enough to touch, but close enough that Jimin could see the steady rise and fall of his chest. They had returned separately to avoid suspicion, rehearsed casual expressions in the mirror, perfected the distance. But distance felt impossible now. The phone kept buzzing. Jimin reached for it, heart already racing. Group chats, manager messages, news alerts. His throat tightened as he opened the first link. A blurry photo. Two silhouettes on a rooftop. Close, too close. The headline was speculative, careful, but hungry. Unexpected intimacy after blackout incident. Jimin's stomach dropped. Across the room, Jungkook stirred. What is it? Jimin couldn't answer immediately. His fingers trembled as he zoomed in. The angle was far, the image grainy, but the posture was unmistakable. Jungkook's hand at his face, their foreheads nearly touching. It looked like a confession. It looked like love. It's out, Jimin whispered. Jungkook sat up instantly, all sleep gone. What's out? Jimin tossed the phone onto his bed. Jungkook crossed the room in 3 strides and picked it up. Silence swallowed the space between them as he read. For a moment, his jaw tightened. Then something surprising happened. He didn't look afraid. He looked furious. Who was up there? Jungkook muttered. Security blocked that area. Apparently not well enough. The door to their suite pounded suddenly, sharp and urgent. Both of them froze. Another knock, harder. Open up, now. Their manager's voice. Jimin's pulse roared in his ears. He moved first, smoothing his hair, forcing his expression into practiced neutrality. Jungkook stepped back, creating visible space between them just as the door swung open. Their manager stormed in, tablet in hand, eyes blazing. Tell me this isn't what it looks like. The silence was suffocating. Jimin spoke carefully. It looks like 2 members talking after a technical failure. You were alone, the manager snapped. On a rooftop, after midnight, cameras caught you holding each other. Jungkook didn't flinch. We were talking. About what? Jungkook's gaze flicked briefly to Jimin before returning steady. Personal matters. The manager exhaled sharply. Do you have any idea what this can turn into? Investors are already calling. There are hashtags trending. Conspiracy threads dissecting body language from the last 5 years. 5 years. Jimin felt exposed in ways the stage had never made him feel. We'll deny it, the manager continued. Say it was stress, brotherhood, emotional support after a scare. Jimin's chest tightened. Brotherhood. The word suddenly felt like a cage. And if we do? Jungkook asked quietly. The room stilled. The manager stared at him as if he'd spoken another language. You don't have that option. Jimin's breath caught. Jungkook's voice hardened. Why not? Because this isn't just about you, the manager shot back. It's about the group, the brand, the years of work. You think the world is ready to accept whatever narrative they'll spin from this. Jimin's thoughts spiraled. He imagined press conferences, forced smiles, carefully worded statements. He imagined fans divided into factions, support colliding with outrage. He imagined losing the stage entirely. Fear clawed up his spine. But beneath it, something else stirred. Defiance. We haven't done anything wrong, Jungkook said. That's not how this works. Jimin finally found his voice. What do you want us to say? The manager's tone softened slightly, that it was a misunderstanding, that emotions were high, that your family. Family. The word felt heavier now. After the manager left, with strict instructions to stay silent online, the room felt smaller. Jimin sank onto the edge of the bed. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Jungkook crouched in front of him, eyes searching. Do you regret it? The question sliced cleanly. Jimin hesitated, not because he didn't know the answer, but because the truth was terrifying. No, he whispered. Jungkook's shoulders relaxed slightly. But I'm scared, Jimin admitted. I worked too hard for this, we both did. I don't know who I am without the stage. Jungkook reached for his hands, ignoring the cameras that might exist in hallways, the possibility of interruption. You're more than a stage. You don't know that. I do, Jungkook insisted, because I see you when the lights are off. The words echoed from the rooftop. When the lights go out. Jimin's eyes burned, and what if they take it away? Then we build something else. You say that like it's easy. It's not, Jungkook said, voice breaking slightly, but losing you would be worse. The phone buzzed again. This time, it was a notification from a private account Jimin didn't recognize. A direct message. He opened it. Another photo. Clearer. Taken from a closer angle. Jungkook's lips brushing his temple. The caption read, I have more. Jimin's blood ran cold. Jungkook, he breathed. Jungkook leaned in, reading over his shoulder. His expression darkened. This is blackmail. As if on cue, another message appeared. Meet me tonight, alone, or I send everything. Jimin's mind reeled. We can't, this could be a trap. It already is, Jungkook replied. The weight of it pressed down hard, not just rumors, not just speculation. Evidence. Private moments turned into weapons. Maybe we tell the company, Jimin suggested weakly. And let them bury it, Jungkook's eyes flashed, or worse, control it. Jimin stood abruptly, packing. His thoughts clashed violently. He had spent years mastering control of his body, his voice, his image. Now everything felt like it was slipping through his fingers. I won't let someone threaten you, Jungkook said firm. It's not just me, Jimin snapped, fear morphing into frustration. It's all of us. Do you think the others deserve this fallout? The argument hung between them, sharp and painful. Jungkook's jaw clenched. So what are you saying, that we should pretend again that last night didn't happen? Jimin faltered. I'm saying I don't know. Silence. Raw and heavy. Jungkook stepped closer, eyes burning not with anger now, but hurt. I'm done hiding, he said. I'm done acting like loving you is something shameful. It's not shameful, Jimin whispered. Then why does it feel like you're ready to sacrifice it? The accusation landed hard. Jimin's chest rose and fell rapidly. He hated this, hated that the world had intruded so quickly, hated that fear made him hesitate. I'm trying to protect us, he said softly. By pushing me away. That's not what I'm doing. It feels like it. The knock on the door came again, but softer this time. A staff member informing them of an emergency meeting in an hour. Time was shrinking. Jungkook exhaled slowly. I'm going tonight. Jimin's head snapped up. Alone. Yes. No. Their eyes locked, stubbornness colliding. You can't control this by yourself, Jimin said. I'm not letting them corner you. And I'm not letting you walk into something dangerous. Emotions thickened the air between them. Anger, fear, love, all tangled. The abandoned studio smelled like rust, dust, and secrets that had never been properly buried. Jimin's boots crunched over broken glass as he stepped inside, the metal door groaning shut behind him with a sound that echoed too loudly in the hollowed-out space. Midnight pressed in from every cracked window, moonlight slicing through shattered panes and stripping the concrete floor in pale silver. Jungkook walked a step ahead of him, shoulders squared, jaw tight. He had insisted on arriving separately, circling the block twice to make sure they weren't followed. Jimin could feel the tension radiating off him like heat from a live wire. You don't have to play hero, Jimin murmured, voice low to avoid it carrying. I'm not, Jungkook replied without turning around. I'm protecting what's mine. The words landed heavy, intimate, almost possessive. Jimin felt a flicker of warmth despite the cold air. A slow clap broke the silence. They both froze. From the shadows, near the old recording booth stepped a familiar figure, not a stranger, not some faceless paparazzo. It was someone from within their extended production team, a junior videographer who had been around for years, quiet, observant, invisible in the way people behind cameras often were. "You shouldn't look so shocked," the man said casually, holding up his phone. "You two were never subtle." Jimin's stomach twisted. "You followed us." "I document things," the man replied with a shrug. "That's my job." Jungkook stepped forward slightly, placing himself half in front of Jimin. "What do you want?" The man smiled thinly. "Leverage." Moonlight glinted off his glasses as he tapped his screen. "I have videos, not just photos, months of footage, glances, touches, moments no one else noticed." Jimin felt exposed in a way that made his skin prickle. "Why?" "Because scandals sell," the man said bluntly, "and I'm tired of being invisible while you two shine." Jungkook's voice dropped dangerously low. "You think destroying us will make you visible? I think telling the truth will." Jimin's breath hitched. "You don't care about the truth." "Don't I?" The man's gaze sharpened. "You're living a lie on the biggest stage in the world." The accusation struck too close. Jimin stepped forward now, anger rising to meet fear. "And that gives you the right to blackmail us." The man's smile faded. "I didn't say I was blackmailing you. You said leverage." "Same difference," Jungkook snapped. The man sighed, as if disappointed in their lack of understanding. "I don't want money, I want acknowledgement. I want credit for the footage when it goes public." The words seemed to suck the oxygen from the room. "When it goes public," Jimin repeated faintly. "It's inevitable," the man said. "You can't hide forever. Why not control the narrative? Give me exclusive rights, a documentary, a reveal, the world will explode." Jungkook's laugh was sharp, humorless. "You want to turn our lives into your career move." "Your lives are already a product," the man shot back. "At least this would be honest." Jimin felt his pulse in his throat. The offer wasn't just manipulation, it was temptation wrapped in danger. "What if we say no?" Jungkook asked. The man lifted his phone slightly. "Then I release everything anonymously, and trust me, once it's out there without context, it will be ugly." Silence descended like a verdict. Jimin's mind raced. He pictured headlines twisting their story into something scandalous and predatory. He imagined fans fighting online, sponsors pulling contracts, interviews dissected frame by frame. He also imagined something else. Freedom. Jungkook turned slightly toward him, eyes searching. They didn't need words. The conversation was happening between heartbeats. "You're asking us to gamble everything," Jimin said carefully. "I'm offering you control," the man corrected. Jungkook's temper finally cracked. "Control," he barked. "You filmed us without consent, you stalked us, and now you're pretending this is empowerment." The man's composure flickered. "You're public figures, there is no such thing as private." Jimin stepped closer, fury sharpening his usually soft features. "There is when it's my heart." The room stilled at the rawness of that. For a brief second, doubt crossed the man's face. Jungkook seized it. "You think this will make you important? All it does is prove you're willing to hurt people for attention." The man's jaw tightened. "I'm giving you a chance." Jimin's chest rose and fell rapidly. He had spent years fearing exposure, fearing that loving like this would cost too much. But standing here, under broken lights and cracked ceilings, he realized something. They were already paying the price. He turned to Jungkook. "If we walk away and he releases it anyway, we look like cowards," Jimin said softly. Jungkook's eyes darkened. "You want to agree to this?" "I want to stop being afraid." The words surprised even him. The man watched them closely, sensing the shift. Jungkook searched Jimin's face. You're sure? Jimin swallowed. His voice trembled but didn't break. When the lights went out, I chose you. I'm not taking that back because someone holding a camera. The air between them ignited. Jungkook reached for him instinctively, fingers brushing Jimin's wrist in a gesture that was both grounding and electric. If we do this, there's no turning back. I know. Their gazes locked, charged with history and risk, and something fiercely alive. The man cleared his throat. So. Jungkook didn't look at him when he answered, we'll tell our story on our terms. The man's eyes lit with triumph, but Jungkook raised a hand. One condition, he said coldly, you give us everything you've recorded, raw files, no edits, no hidden backups. The man hesitated. Or we walk, Jungkook added. A tense standoff filled the studio. Finally, the man nodded slowly. Fine. Jimin felt the weight of the decision settle over him like armor and vulnerability all at once. They weren't being dragged into the light. They were stepping into it. As they left the studio, the night air felt different, sharper, alive with consequence. Halfway to the car, Jungkook grabbed Jimin's arm and pulled him close, not caring who might see in the empty street. You're shaking, Jungkook murmured. I know. Are you regretting it? Jimin looked up at him, moonlight catching the faint glitter still clinging to his skin from the cancelled show. I'm terrified. Jungkook's thumb brushed over his knuckles. Me too. Jimin let out a shaky breath, but I'm done hiding behind darkness. Jungkook's expression softened into something almost reverent. Then let them turn the lights on. For a moment, the world felt impossibly quiet. Then Jimin did something reckless and brave, and completely unlike the version of himself who always calculated risk. He leaned in and kissed Jungkook again. Not softly this time. Not carefully. It was heated, urgent, fueled by adrenaline and anger and years of restraint cracking open. Jungkook responded instantly, pulling him closer, hands gripping his waist as if anchoring them both against the storm they had just invited. It wasn't about secrecy anymore. It was about truth. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Jimin rested his forehead against Jungkook's chest. Tomorrow, he whispered. Tomorrow, Jungkook agreed. In the distance, sirens wailed faintly, city lights blinking like watchful eyes. The future loomed massive and uncertain. But for the first time since the blackout, Jimin felt something steadier than fear. He felt chosen. And he chose back, episode 4. The press conference room felt colder than the abandoned studio. Bright white lights glared down from the ceiling, harsher than any stage spotlight. Rows of journalists filled the seats, cameras poised like weapons, microphones angled forward in anticipation. Every cough, every shuffle of paper echoed with predatory patience. Jimin adjusted the cuff of his jacket, fingers steady despite the storm inside him. Beside him, Jungkook stood tall, shoulders squared, eyes calm but burning with quiet intensity. Their company executives flanked them, faces carved from diplomacy and damage control. The documentary announcement had detonated across social media overnight. Speculation had become wildfire. Fans were split between support and disbelief. Commentators argued about privacy, authenticity, betrayal. Some called it brave, others called it reckless. Sponsors remained silent. And now the world wanted answers. A moderator signaled for quiet. The room hushed instantly. Jimin's heartbeat thudded in his ears as the first question cut through the air. Are you confirming that your relationship is romantic? There it was. No euphemism, no soft phrasing. Romantic. Jimin glanced at Jungkook. In that half-second of eye contact, years of shared history flashed between them. Late-night rehearsals, shared headphones, the rooftop confession, the choice. Jungkook leaned toward the microphone first. Yes. The word landed like a glass shattering. The room erupted with noise, shutters clicking furiously, murmurs swelling into chaos. Jimin felt the ground tilt beneath him, but he didn't look away. Another question fired immediately. How long has this been going on? Jimin inhaled slowly, long enough for us to know it's real. A ripple of reaction surged through the crowd. Why reveal it now? Someone demanded. Jungkook's jaw tightened slightly, because hiding it became heavier than telling the truth. A reporter in the front row leaned forward. Are you concerned this will damage the group's image? The question sliced deeper than the others. Jimin's throat felt tight, but he refused to let fear dictate his voice. Our image has always been built on honesty in our music, he said. This is part of that honesty. A sharper voice interrupted. Some fans feel betrayed. The word strung. Betrayed. Jungkook's eyes flashed. We never promised to be anything other than human. The tension in the room thickened. Executives shifted uncomfortably beside them. Another question came, quieter but heavier. Do the other members support this? Jimin answered carefully, they support us as people. That was true. The private conversation earlier had been raw and emotional. There had been shock, concern, but also understanding. Years of brotherhood didn't fracture so easily. A journalist raised her hand. Do you think this will change your careers? Jimin hesitated. Yes, he said finally. The honesty startled even the executives. But change doesn't always mean loss, he continued. Sometimes it means growth. The room buzzed again. One final question cut through, sharper than the rest. Are you prepared for backlash? Jungkook didn't hesitate. We already faced it in private. We can face it in public. The press conference ended in a storm of flashes. When they stepped backstage, the noise faded, replaced by a hollow quiet. Jimin exhaled shakily, adrenaline draining from his limbs. That felt like stepping off a cliff. Jungkook turned to him, eyes softer now. Did we land? I'm not sure yet. A staff member hurried toward them, phone in hand. Social media is exploding, but it's not all negative. Jimin braced himself. Hashtags supporting you are trending globally.